another time, Witness One, and this is another one of my Sunday mobile-thons. And today I'm going to discuss conversations. Now, when I was doing my chaos project, where I was traveling into 3 different Midwest states, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and North Dakota, I had conversations with people. These conversations were on the phone while I was in these various states, and they were also in person. Not all of this got included in the original Chaos Project. For you see, I didn't spend 5 days just making sightseeing tours of Field and Cannell's studio, Dr. Goodvibe's office, and a number of other places that appeared in the series. I also talked to people. Talked to people by the phone, and I talked to people in person. In places with interesting names like Thief River, Minnesota, and in mainly small towns where people are generally isolated and the only conduit in their lives is the internet. And I also get emails from people. And these emails have one thing in common. The emails contain conversations. Conversations by the person who has claimed that they created the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. And these conversations are rather consistent in one factor, and that is that the handler, as I call her, introduces herself in a kind of resume before the conversations of further actions take place. It's a rather interesting pattern. And it states how she met Timothy and details her actions from that moment forward. Now, there have been people that speculate on the internet that this is a romantic relationship, that this is a cougar going after a younger man and having intimate relations as a result. That may or may not be true, but I think a more accurate description of the relationship here is that Timothy Charles Homestead is a replacement son. He's a replacement child. Now, there are rumors going around that the handler is estranged from her family, specifically from her daughters. The daughters want nothing to do with her because of her involvement with Qanon, because of her past actions. They see their mother as strange, crazy, and unfit to see her grandchildren. The daughters allegedly will not allow the grandchildren to see their grandmother. The only way is through the husband, who it is rumored also is estranged from the handler and does not live in the primary residence. He lives elsewhere. He stays away from the handler as much as he can. Now, again, this is all speculation. It may or may not be true, but this is what's being said. And since the handler relies on rumor and innuendo to make her own accusations against people, I guess it's fair to address that here. But one thing is for certain, there does seem to be a mother-child relationship going on between her and Tim. The signs are there. She takes care of him and spoils him. She pays all his expenses and basically gives him everything. She fixed a transmission in one car that wasn't worth repairing, and when that didn't work out, she went out and bought him another car. And she's paid all kinds of expenses for Tim, and she basically took over the media empire. Now, as I stated in my last Mobileton, I have the feeling that Timothy is either incapacitated or he is no longer alive. And I say that because I firmly believe that his handler is doing all of it. His handler is writing on the blogs, posting the videos on social media, so on and so forth, and it is not Tim doing it. Tim is basically sitting back and doing nothing. If he is still with the handler, and if he is still alive. Because it's just rather interesting that a person for the past 10 years has been in the limelight on social media when it comes to his vendetta against the lawyer from Florida. He's made countless videos, written articles, and several blogs. He's got websites all over social media, like you don't hear from him visually. All you see are old videos made months and years ago. The material that's produced on the various social media sites are old. Stuff that he's written about, talked about for years. The stories get adapted in order to fit the narrative of current events. The Epstein matter was an adaptation of current events that started up last year, maybe the year before, but no mention of Epstein was ever made in all the years that Tim Homeseth has been writing social media. He didn't see it in 2009, he didn't see it in 2015, and it only started sometime after 2018, which coincidentally is when Tim got hooked up with his handler. And it's the same thing with the Biden information that's been put out there. They latched on to that. All of a sudden, it's Tim Homeseth was involved with the Biden matter in revealing that. And it's just yet another example how Homeseth takes events occurring in the news media and adapts it to his own efforts and claims that he was part of it all along. That he's this all-important witness to all this stuff, and he's part of the government-affiliated Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, and he's doing all this stuff. He's some kind of self-appointed hero. And he's third in line to the President of the United States. It's all, of course, lies. It's all made up. It's fiction. But people believe in this stuff. People suck it in like a vacuum cleaner. And it's rather unfortunate. Now, one thing I have found common among people like Tim, his handler, E-Claus, Field McConnell, Daniel Lee, and a whole host of other people, is that they have had bad luck in the court system. That for one reason or another, they've gotten entangled in matters, and they came out on the losing end. Virtually every one of these people. You know, it's easy enough to do the research and see that circumstances went against these people, and they lash out and blame whoever they can. And in the case of Tim Homeseth, he happened to have a problem with a lawyer. And so did the handler. Handlers had problems in the legal system. So have the owners of E-Claus. and other people. Virtually all of these people, in one way or another, have had problems in court. And they've come out on the losing end. And so now they lash out, coming up with all this conspiracy stuff and saying that they're sovereign citizens, that our legal system is an admiralty court, and that people incarcerated for violating the law are on a ship in dry dock or a barge in dry dock, and they're relying primarily on the advice of a person that claims that he is either JFK Jr. reincarnated, or that this guy is the postmaster of the world and he holds the patent on the United States flag. And that there are mole people, there are fish people, there are reptile people, there are child slave colonies on Mars, and virtually everyone in the world, with the exception of Donald J. Trump, are involved in sex trafficking, pedophilia, blood sacrifices, you name it. That's the kind of people that we are dealing with today. And every single person in QAnon, who follows QAnon, who believes in QAnon, who follows the handler, Tim Holmseth, all these people are from the far right. They are Trump supporters. They are supporters of people to the far right. And they believe that the deep state, which is purely a Democratic run operation in their minds, and possibly Vice President Trump, or Pence in some cases, are part of this vast conspiracy to protect pedophiles and children that are victims of sex trafficking and children that are being sold into groups that do these satanistic rituals where they drink the blood of children, they eat children, they extract a chemical from the children for whatever uses they have for that particular chemical. These are the conspiracy theories that are out there that these people believe in. And they try to draw in people that have similar beliefs, that people that may not be in favor of Joe Biden or any of the Democrats, that hate Hillary Clinton and so on and so forth. And so they get involved in these movements because of a common belief. And because of these common beliefs, they get sucked into the fraud that these people are perpetrating. That's how cults work. They look for common beliefs, they rope people in, and then they brainwash the people and work on people to do their bidding and to take actions that they otherwise would not have taken. The 5 or more kidnapping cases before various courts today is a prime example of the result of that action. There are 5 mothers out there that are involved with various crimes having to do with illegally obtaining their children from CPS custody or from the custody of their ex-husband, boyfriend, or whatever involvement or was with a biological father, and are now going to find themselves not only permanently losing custody of their child, but they may go to jail as well. Their situations have been made worse because of their involvement with the PPTF and those who run it. Now, I have recently come in to a number of conversations that happen between the handler and other individuals. One just this morning. Every once in a while, unsolicited, someone will write me and say, "This happened to me," or "This is why I no longer believe in in the PPTF or the Qanon movement. There are people that say they don't understand how or why they ever got involved with the PPTF or Qanon to believe with. They regret it, and in some cases they feel ashamed. But what I try to make these people understand is it's not their fault that they got into these philosophies, these groups, these movements so deeply. Because that's how people like the handler work. They seek out people in very desperate, stressful situations, and they groom them. They work on them. They encourage them. They give them an understanding ear. And then ever so gradually and ever so subtly, they start making suggestions. They say, I know somebody in the government, I know somebody in a high place that's third in line from the President of the United States. I know this person, that person. We can get you court documents to get your child back, so on and so forth. And the next thing you know, these people are blindly breaking the law. They give forged documents to a caseworker in charge of supervising a visitation of a child. And the document says that the custodial parent is going to be arrested by the United States Marshals and that you are to hand the child over to the biological mother in possession of this document. And the caseworker, not knowing better, gives away the child. And the next thing you know, there's a manhunt for the mother on a charge of interstate kidnapping. Now, the situation in that particular case today is that the mother is likely going to lose permanent custody of the child, and the best she can hope for is supervised visits, and the person supervising the visit is going to be a sheriff or other law enforcement official that has the power to arrest her on the spot if she breaks the law or tries any more of this nonsense. And that the mother is also probably going to go under trial for interstate kidnapping. And so is the woman that was with her for aiding and abetting this kidnapping. And her own mother is in jail because she aided in the kidnapping of the child. So everybody is getting arrested and going on trial except the handler. The handler walks away from all this. In this particular case, I don't think the handler has said one word about it. Maybe she wasn't personally involved with it, but the people she is associated with, who are supposedly members of this PPTF, were involved. But she's involved in the other cases being investigated. She gets these mothers to do these desperate things, and then she walks away. Now, I would suggest that anyone out there who tunes into this mobile-thon, who has been involved in one way, shape, or form with the handler, stop and think about your own circumstances. How did your little situation turn out? Is it better or is it worse? Be honest with yourself. Don't get on the internet and say that, oh yeah, I came out a lot better, if you did not. You don't have to publish your impressions or your results of being associated with this woman. Did you get your child back? Didn't you get your child back? That's the gauge you work with here. What was your circumstance? What became of the interaction? Now, there's always a possibility that maybe one or two people out there came out better in the end. And that's fine. But there are other people out there, more than the vast majority, whose situation has gotten a hell of a lot worse because of their association with the PPTF. And there are others out there who, if they have not had their situations go worse yet, there's a possibility that it's going to get worse in the future. Because a handler admitted recently that the United States law enforcement is monitoring her social media. They're monitoring her Facebook, they're monitoring her Twitter channels, they're monitoring the blog, they're monitoring everything. So she's aware that she's being observed and she's being kept an eye on, but she can't help herself. It kind of reminds me of that TV show To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen. The perpetrators, the pedophiles, always knew in the back of their mind there was a chance that they were going to get caught on that TV show. That the offer to meet an underage child for the purposes of sex or other deviant actions might be a sting. But their drive, their addiction, they had to go forward. And they go forward, and they get caught yet again, and again, and again after that. A lot of times on Chris Hansen's show, the pedophiles are repeat offenders. They kept coming back 2, 3, 4 times. There's a lot of this stuff going on out there. And it's the same with the PPTF and the handler. These people know that they're breaking the law. They know there's a possibility that they may go to jail. But they do it anyway because they're addicted to the power and the attention they get from it. The problem is the people that they attempt to help don't realize until it's too late that they're taking a risk they otherwise would not have taken if they had known the truth about who these people actually are. That the PPTF is nothing more than a figment of everybody's imagination. It's an organization created out of thin air. It wasn't created by the United States government. The law firm is not a legal law firm. They audits that they say they do is basically like people that study court cases and give their opinions on it. But they're nothing official about what they do. You know, they have no power other than to deceive. And as a result of their actions, people are wrapped up in things they otherwise would not get wrapped up in, and they suffer the consequences of their errors. And the PPTF and the people involved directly with it get off scot-free to live another day to suck in another victim into their twisted philosophy. And I'm going to be bringing out more of this as time goes on. I'm going to be going through the detailed information that I've been given over the past few days, and I'm going to do a video on it, probably Tuesday or Wednesday or sometime later this week, when I get a chance to organize everything and come out with the bullet points. But it paints an interesting picture. Of what happens when people develop cults. They come up with obsessions of their actions, reasons for their actions, as wrong-headed as they may be. They get innocent people involved and destroy their lives, and then they abandon them and move on to their next victim. It's a study in group dynamics. It's a study in how, in today's world of modern and instant technology, it is so easy for people to grasp power, so easy for people to deceive, and in the end, so easy to victimize those in desperate situations. So stay tuned. This is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1. Have a good one.